Hi everyone, Amy from The 7 Effect here, and I am here with Jen, the CEO of Time for Kids. Now, Time for Kids is our chosen charity for our end of year celebration, Cocktails and Dreams. It's always a huge event and we choose a different charity every year to support. So this year we've got a huge goal of raising $10,000. So we'll have the links and everywhere for how you can do that, but we'll do that on our page where you can donate it if you can't make it on the night. But on the night, we'll have a silent auction as well as a raffle that will help raise more funds. But also we really want to share Time for Kids' story and create some awareness out there of what they're all about and what they do. So thank you so much, Jen, for your time.
Thank you for thinking of us when you were looking for a charity of choice for Cocktails and Dreams. We are so excited to have been picked, and we're really excited to be joining you on the 15th of December as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think when we met first and started chatting about what Time for Kids was all about, and at The 7 Effect we're all about creating a life by design and living, I guess, the best life possible for yourself. And I think that kind of resonated with what you guys do. It's creating those experiences and a better life for the children that.
Absolutely. Look, the mission that we work with is a bright future for every child, and in lots of ways that might seem like such a no-brainer. But a lot of the kids who come to us really don't have bright futures because the childhood that they're living in doesn't give them the kinds of experiences and opportunities that they need in order to really thrive and fulfil their potential. So our job, particularly with our volunteer carers, and I know we'll be covering that later, but our job is to provide kids with the kind of childhood that is going to enable them to grow up to be happy and fulfilled adults and to have the future that every child deserves.
And how long have you been with Time for Kids, actually?
I'm a couple of weeks away from my 3rd anniversary.
Oh, fantastic. And I guess even over that period, Time for Kids has been around for a long time.
We have.
Started in 1960, so over 55 years now.
Wow. And it's I guess, lots of things will have changed over that period. But what's your focus? Where do you see Time for Kids going in the future? What I guess does, partnering up with someone like us to, have more funding and do that. Does all of the money that you raise, is that what kind of funds?
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, your question about where we've been and where we're going. We were formed in 1960, and I've got to be really honest with you and say that the work that we do now is incredibly similar to the work that we did back in 1960. It's about taking kids who really need a bit of a chance and providing them with access to environments and individuals who are going to play a part in that child's life and provide the kind of positive role models that we all need to thrive. That was why we were set up in 1960. It is still what we do today, so a lot hasn't changed. In terms of where we're going, look, we see ourselves as continuing to play a role in children's lives in order to open new doorways and provide kids with positive pathways to help children who perhaps live in circumstances where negative lessons are modelled and perhaps have been repeated across the generations, to encourage them to know that that's not the only option for them, and to help them not just set, but really important, actually help them to achieve some different aspirations for their lives. We are a small organisation in lots of ways. We've got a staff of 5.6 FTE. We turn over around 700,000 a year. We have around 200 volunteers who work with us every year. If you put a price on the time that they spent with our kids, and it's fair to say you can't put a price on that, but if you were going to,
if you were
if you were going to apply, say, a nationally recognised volunteer figure, that's right, on the hours spent, our volunteers contribute over $2.1 million worth of time to the South Australian community, and very particularly to support an incredibly vulnerable cohort of kids, and to do that in a way that's going to help those kids really change their lives.
And I think, how do you fund? Where does the money come from to do this? Because I get, we want to help a bit about.
So often do I ask myself that question. Where's the money coming from?
Where are we going to get the money from?
Look, around half of the funding that we work with each year comes from a state or federal government grant.
Yep.
But that means around half of the money that we work with each year gets raised each year.
Yep.
And we do that through philanthropic grants, we do that through donations and fundraising. So this kind of partnership with the Seven Effect is incredibly important to us. All of the money that we raise goes directly into delivering services for our kids. If we ever make a profit, and it's important to remember, you know, we're for purpose, not for loss.
Yes.
But whenever we make a profit, that really is about saving that money up so that we can continue to invest it in our kids over a long-term future. We've got kids in the program today who are 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to be around for them in 15 years' time when they're ready to graduate from the program.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. So it's constantly, you know, you've obviously got the driver of the kids, but it's, you know, every year it's finding those dollars to make sure you can provide the services.
Absolutely.
Over the long term.
And it's also really true that every dollar counts.
Yeah.
We're also really careful with the dollars that we get. We know that people donate money to us for a really particular purpose, and it's incredibly important to us to know that we are spending their money on that purpose and to great effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now I guess as well, you know, before we do wrap up, but I've heard some amazing stories from, you know, talking to a few of the other staff members and things, but I'm sure you've heard lots of different, you know, if we're looking at, you know, kids that are 2, 3, 4, you know, coming through and you have been going since the 1960s.
Yeah.
You know, what's something you'd love to share with people so they can really, I guess, understand the impact that Time for Kids has on somebody's life?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many amazing stories. The difficulty is in finding one that, in choosing one today. Our celebrations are incredibly important to us. Our kids often come to us with disturbing stories. And so for us, like you with the Cocktails and Dreams event, making sure that we spend time to stop and to celebrate the amazing stories that we have is really important to us. And I guess your question puts me in mind of a story that I heard. I'd probably been here for about a year. And I remember we got a call one day from a man, and I'm going to call him Michael. He was in his 60s. He was getting in touch with the organisation because back in the 1960s, so our first decade of operation, he had sadly been removed from his family, and he was placed in one of the children's homes that were around Adelaide at the time. There were two things that happened to him of particular note when he was in that children's home. One is a very tragic story. Sadly, he was a victim of sexual abuse. But the other thing that happened to him while he was in that children's home was that he was matched with a couple through the Society of Sponsors, as we used to be called. So we started talking, and he was getting in touch because he was trying to put together a chronology of his childhood. He didn't know when he'd been taken into care. He couldn't find any records from the home that he'd been placed in. He was trying to piece that period of his history together. But our conversation naturally turned to why he contacted us, Time for Kids, and he started telling me about his Society of Sponsors parents. It turns out, 50 years on, he's still in touch with that couple, and when I say in touch with that couple, I'm probably not doing it justice. They are his family. They're his parents.
Wow.
When he was talking about them, and I'm seriously getting goosebumps telling you this story and remembering this conversation, he told me about the fact that over these 5 decades they had been his rock. And this is a child we probably, as a society, could not have given him a worse childhood. But the organisation that I'm privileged enough to work for also gave him a remarkable gift.
Yeah.
And it's a gift that helped him succeed and achieve in his life rather than succumb and be a victim to those incredibly dreadful circumstances that had dominated his early life. And that story for me typifies what it is that we're trying to do. We're trying to give kids who have very few people in their lives looking out for them family, but we're particularly trying to do it with family who have high levels of what we would call social capital. The kind of access to experiences and opportunities that our kids are entirely cut out from when they come to us, and who are able to loan their social capital to that child in their life and to help that child build that kind of social capital of their own, and really to love that child like family, and to be with that child like family and stick with that child like family. And Michael's story just exemplifies everything that's remarkable about this program and everything that's simple about it as well. You get a child in your life and you love them.
Yeah. I think, and that's always, simple is best. We do tend to overcomplicate things and get crazy in this world we live in, but it's giving those experience and love to somebody that hasn't had those.
That's it. And there's nothing that's rocket science about that.
No.
It is extraordinarily simple, but from what we have seen as well and what we're privileged to see every day, it's also enormously impactful.
Yeah, it really makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing today, Jen. And for everyone, that's a bit more about Time for Kids, and there's so many beautiful stories, and there is an opportunity for you to become a carer, become a part of the program. There's an opportunity for you to donate. We have a donation page set up, which you'll see the links wherever you're watching this video will be above or below. But we also really want you to come along and have that end of year celebration with us that is also in aid of raising money for Time for Kids. So that's at the end of the year, December 15th here in Adelaide. Cocktails and Dreams is our event that we have, and we're raising as much money as we can leading up to and on the night. But thank you so much for your time. And we are, at the 7FA, we're truly privileged to be able to choose a charity every year that are just doing these amazing things and making a difference in children's lives, throughout the state. I think it's beautiful and it's amazing, and it's a privilege for us to be able to do it. So we want to see you there, or we want to see you donate, so please do that, and thank you so much, Jeff.
Not a problem. And, I'd also just mention we're going to be there on the 15th as well.
Yes. Right.
And so the stories that we haven't talked about today, they'll be there on the night.
Beautiful. I can't wait.